All right, so today we're going to talk about the passing of messages or signals from one neuron to another. And this is all part of an electrochemical process where signals travel through one neuron and then and those signals release neurotransmitters out of that neuron, which flow into the dendrites of another neuron and passing the signal from one to another. Anyway, these electrical signals move because of changes in the electrical charge of the axon, which is right here. So normally we say a neuron is at its resting potential, where there are more negatively charged ions inside the axon. However, when enough messages build up inside the cell body and reach what we call the threshold or a certain amount, they'll burst through, and these messages cause a depolarization in the axon where now a bunch of positively charged ions enter. And this change in the charge of the axon actually is what causes the messages to move down the neuron. And so this creates what we call an action potential, and that action potential is what starts the flow. Now, once this occurs, there's what happens is there's a refractory period where the neuron stops being able to fire, and this prevents repeated firing, and it basically allows the neuron to return to its resting potential to then fire later. Once the signals flow through the axon, they reach the terminal buttons, which is where they're held in little vesicles inside the terminal buttons. And when these vesicles are shot to the end of the terminal buttons and the neurotransmitters are released, we call that a process of exocytosis. And these neurotransmitters are then released into the synaptic gaps, which are the gaps in between the two neurons. Now, these neurotransmitters are then going to hopefully be accepted by other dendrites, but if they're not, they're actually going to go through a process called reuptake, where they're reabsorbed back in to the terminal buttons of the neuron that they came from, to be later shot out again into the synaptic gap and hopefully be passed on to another neuron. And so that is the electrochemical process of how neurons pass messages from one to another.